Hey everyone, welcome to a new More Layers. I'm Seth Mariano.
And I'm Jordan Smith, and today's a bit of a simpler topic, if you will. I think we've done one or two episodes like this before. Long story short, we're going to be talking about a quote unquote new release that McDonald's had.
Yeah, reportedly, I think I read it was supposed to come out a couple weeks from today, but it might be out already, might be out ahead of schedule from what I'm told, but either way, it's a new McDonald's item. They call it the Daily Double Cheeseburger, and it has ingredients like two slices of tomato, slivered onions, American cheese. It's kind of similar, more or less, to the McDouble with a little, with fewer condiments, I guess. And there is an article that I looked up that I got a lot of my information from, and I'll share that in the description later.
Well, since you brought this up, because you were talking about how it supposedly came out in a couple of weeks, what I found is that it's already technically out, but starting, based on my research, on July 22nd, they're doing this meal deal, where I guess if you get it with a small meal, it's technically making it a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, I think that's covered in the article a little bit, and you can find more details about that later. Like sort of like a McPick, McValue thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like what's that thing that Wendy's has? It's like the biggie bag, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Where you can get a decent sized meal for a little bit cheaper than you would otherwise if you got all the pieces individually.
Yeah.
But yeah, that, from what I've seen, will start in a couple weeks. And from what I could tell, it seemed like they did what I will call a trial run, where they started selling it in a select few locations before distributing it further. Specifically, they ran it in Chicago, Miami, and Seattle, apparently. And then, at some point earlier this year or in the near future, it's become more of a nationwide available option.
Yeah, I think that's what they call test marketing. I know I was, not too long ago, last Christmas, I was in Columbus, Ohio, which is considered like the epicenter place where like a lot of this test marketing stuff is done.
Yep.
So, well, anyway, I was thinking today, I did a little further research thinking how this could probably help McDonald's bottom line in a way, more or less. Something about, McDonald's. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I've decided that I'm done with it. It's just that, well, for one thing, I think the malls in town typically don't include that as an option in the food court. And also, I feel like the sandwiches have gotten a bit smaller than they used to be. But I think you get, from the description of the item, I feel like you can get a little more sense of value for money with a little more, little more beef, a little bit more of this and that. So I'm thinking maybe this could help them kind of recover their bottom line a little bit.
It's entirely possible, and I do have to agree in the sense that portions do seem to have gotten smaller over time. Take their signature sandwich, for the lack of a better phrasing, the Big Mac. That is one of the first items you'll see on the menu, and despite its name, it's not really that big, especially now. I feel like I remember as a kid, it used to be like this thick, and then over time it got more like this. It just felt like they were adding less and less to it. Everything was thinner. There just wasn't as much content. And I think that's kind of what caused me to not go there as frequently as I used to, because it felt like I wasn't really getting my money's worth anymore. But with what you're saying, this could be a good turning point for them.
I don't know. Did you like get from like the promotional deal, like when they did the 50th Big Mac anniversary? Did you ever do like, I know they had like the Mac Junior, the regular Big Mac, and the Grand Mac as options. Did you ever like do any of that?
I did a couple times, especially when they started doing the Grand Mac, because I wanted to see how much bigger than the Big Mac it was. And this is based solely on memory, but it felt like the Grand Mac was about as big as how big the Big Mac used to be. But I could be wrong on that. The Grand Mac was more what I would expect from the Big Mac. And another example I feel like McDonald's had when it comes to portions getting smaller is their signature Shamrock Shake. For those not aware, Shamrock Shake is a product that the McDonald's company sells, usually throughout the month of March, a little bit before, a little bit after, due to St. Patrick's Day. And it's pretty much what you think it is. It's a mint-based milkshake that is green. And I remember every year my family used to get so excited because it was really good, and it wasn't something they would get all the time, so they wouldn't get tired of it. But then over the course of a few years, it felt like the cup size was much smaller, so it didn't feel as grand as it used to.
Oh yeah, I definitely had handful of Shamrock Shakes kind of over the years myself.
I mean, they are still really good though.
Oh yeah,
I will say that.
Oh yeah.
And some people who are hearing this name, the Daily Double, and then the comparison that Seth made at the beginning, you might wonder, what exactly is the difference between the Daily Double and the McDouble? They have a very similar name, and you might easily get them confused. Truth being, I don't really think there's much of a difference. I think the only real changes are some of the toppings / condiments that are involved.
Yeah, and if you want more details, you can all read the article later.
Yeah, there was at least one or two articles that we really analyzed before we did this episode. So there might be some details that we missed that you guys will find that we'd be more than happy to hear from you sharing with us. Also, when I first heard the name Daily Double, and Seth, you might like this, the first thing I thought of was Jeopardy.
Oh no, that's not really surprising.
Yeah, those that are not in the know for whatever reason, Jeopardy is like a trivia show where they give you the answer and then you have to ask the question. It's kind of like a reverse-style trivia thing.
Yeah.
And one of the things they have on occasion is something called the Daily Double, which basically allows whoever happens to get it wager a certain amount, and if they get that question right, then they get that much, but if they get it wrong, then they lose that much.
Yeah.
So it just happens to share the name with a popular game show. But yeah, there aren't too many differences, but honestly, I feel like this also adds to how this could help them when it comes to marketing. Because they could make almost the exact same sandwich, I feel like. Maybe change up a couple tiny things, and ultimately just change the name and present it as this brand new product. And a lot of people will buy into it. They won't know what the difference is. They'll just see that something is labeled as new. They'll be like, oh, I should check that out and see if it's any good.
Yeah, the name can alone do a pretty good job of selling something like I think of like the title of the book, I'm Glad My Mom Died, or to use a McDonald's example, the founder, Ray Kroc, says, part of the appeal, is the name, because it screams Americana, Ray Kroc says at one point.
It really does, and I've heard quite a few people, whether it be in college or other places, one of the most popular things I've heard from them when it comes to presenting something is that you immediately want to catch their attention with some type of hook. Because like once you get them on that hook, then they're going to be much more invested. If you don't grab them right away, you risk losing their attention very quickly.
Yeah.
So if you can plaster something that's brand new, get the word new inside a ball that has like that spiky pattern going all the way around, that can easily grab their attention.
Yeah. I'm thinking about like the economic advantages of this item, sort of this new item, and thinking about, I did some research just today actually about like what is the most popular fast food chain in each of the 50 states, and to kind of summarize some of the basic information, and the winner of most of the states, but only by a little bit, was apparently Chick-fil-A. McDonald's came a close second, but they could possibly catch up if they have like the right marketing and that kind of thing. And I did some further research from there, like where do most Americans live? Most of Americans, an estimated 80%, live on our side of the country, which would be like the east half. New York and Florida, Texas, and California are considered the most populated, and most people live in rather suburban environments. The kind of place where there's a lot of stuff going on that's crowded, and there are a lot of buildings real close together, versus like a rural community like where my mom grew up, where you'd have to drive like maybe a 20-30-ish minute commute just to get to the grocery store. So I thought those were things to consider.
Oh, of course. And it doesn't surprise me that states like Texas and California are some of the most populated states, because they're some of the biggest states as well. And then California is home to a lot of cinema, so a lot of stars may live out that way. And I'm also not surprised that the vast majority of Americans would be on the eastern half of the United States, because while I haven't been on the western half of the U.S., most times I hear that some of the states out that way, like Montana or Colorado or something like that, are just big patches of nothing. And I don't mean like there's nothing there. I just mean,
no, of course not.
It's not nearly as inhabited. It's more like long stretches of road with the environment on either side of you. There's just not much to do. It's more like one of those states that you would drive through as opposed to stick around. But I'm sure they're still beautiful states. I just haven't been out that way myself, and it doesn't seem like they're nearly as populated despite their size. I know some people may go out towards places like Colorado due to the whole Four Corners thing, where 4 states are touching in one spot, so you can technically be in 4 states at the same time. But in any case, it does not surprise me that 80% of Americans would live on the eastern half, based on what I know.
Yeah, well, either way, I'm just thinking, like, maybe considering all the statistics, this would be a way for maybe McDonald's to kind of, maybe if they wanted to get caught up and maybe take their claim back as like the biggest fast food chain, because yeah, if they're not, it sounds like Chick-fil-A is, for whatever reason, one reason or another. But yeah, I guess time will tell how this does.
It wouldn't surprise me too much, because I remember when a new Chick-fil-A was built not too far from where we are, people were going crazy for it. The lines were extremely long, going out to the streets. But I don't hear as many people going now. Whereas, based on my understanding, McDonald's has a more long-lasting, worldwide empire, essentially. So even if it just takes a bit of time, I feel like McDonald's will at some point take back the crown, as it were.
Yeah.
And another thing I found in my research is that maybe I misread it, but it seems like this either the Daily Double, McDonald, one of the two, they've actually been around before, but then it was taken off the menu, and then they would bring it back later, which can also be a good marketing strategy. Because if it's something that people really like and you take it away for a while, by the time you bring it back, they'll be really excited for it again, and they'll ideally buy it in large amounts. I think something similar happened a little while back, and I think this was in a promotion for Rick and Morty, where they brought back something called the
Szechuan sauce?
Yeah, that's what it was. It's like I couldn't remember how it was pronounced. Yeah. But I remember when they brought that back, even if it was only briefly, people were going nuts for it. So maybe this is a similar style strategy, or maybe, like we were saying, with a similar name, it'll be somewhat familiar but still be different. But there's multiple selling points that they're going with, from what we can tell, that could really help them out here.
Yeah, it is kind of funny, think about it, is that was referring to a McNugget sauce that was made specifically for the promotion of Disney's animated film Mulan in the 90s. Oh. And happens to resurface in the culture like 3 decades later or whatever with this running joke or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, it's like, I guess somebody, in the writer's room was really nostalgic about it and just kind of ran with it or something.
I guess so. And maybe they'll do it again in 30 more years.
Yeah. We'll see.
And one other thing I did want to point out, and we'll address the fast food joint that already did this not too long ago, but obviously when a sandwich is sold, the images that they'll show online or in television advertisements, they'll show it in like peak condition, like everything is steaming, it's fresh, it's brand new, it's freshly cut, and it's just perfectly stacked. You won't always get that though when it's being presented to you. When we were reading this article, I was looking at an image of this particular sandwich, and honestly, to me, it's one of those burgers where if it were sold as a real-life Krabby Patty, I would be convinced that that's what it is. Because it honestly really looks a lot like one. Now, to address what I mentioned a second ago, yes, we are aware that Wendy's actually did do a Krabby Patty promotion, I think, last year? Or was it the year before?
It was last year, I think. I remember, me and our friend Andrew kind of briefly chatted about it, like in the wings during Beauty and the Beast. So I'm pretty sure it was last year.
It's like I just don't remember it too well because I never actually got one. And that was another example of it looking better in advertisements than it did in real life, because there were some people who were going around sharing images of the sandwich that they got when they ordered it, and it felt a lot more condensed. Like it was a bit smaller than advertisements made it look.
Yeah.
But people were still saying it was good. They had a couple more things. Like I think they had a pineapple frosty.
Yes, right.
There was one other thing I feel like, but I can't remember what it was. There was the sandwich, there was the frosty, and I feel like there was one other thing. But off the top of my head, I can't remember what it is. Anyway, I feel like this Daily Double could also pass as a Krabby Patty style thing. Which is kind of funny, because I know there's at least one or two episodes out there that show, in the SpongeBob show, where they show a supposed real-life version of the Krabby Patty, and the one that I'm thinking of made it look kind of ridiculous, but sandwiches like the one that Wendy's had and this one, if they were to sell that as the patty, I would buy it.
I'm not too picky about the appearance. I mean, if it tastes good and feels good and everything, if what you see may not be 100% what you get, but I think it's pretty close anyway.
Oh yeah, I'm not expecting it to look like high art or look exactly like it did in the commercial. I just know that there are some people out there that would feel that way, where if it doesn't look exactly as it was promoted as being, then they would start getting upset, making complaints and what have you. But to us, it's not that big of a deal. As long as it, like you said, looks good, tastes good, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure there are plenty of things I've ordered that never looked quite like the picture.
Oh, of course. And then you sometimes might get the occasion where the person making the food for you, they might accidentally leave something off, or you'll ask them to leave something off the sandwich, but they'll put it on anyway, because maybe they're just so used to doing it a certain way. There's just several factors that can go into it. But ultimately, this Daily Double does at least look good, it sounds good. Maybe in the near future I'll stop by and see if I can get my hands on one, and I'm sure it'll be good.
Yeah. Well, y'all watching, listening, let us know what you think about it, and keep up with updates on Seth_Mariano_AU on Instagram. Comments in Instagram and YouTube. Utilize that as much as you like. And any comments and questions, we will gladly take.
Oh yeah, we love the interaction we have with our audience and anyone who watches our shows. I remember when my mom, may she rest in peace, was around. She would watch every single episode and she would tell me what she would think. And it always was a good source of motivation to keep going and express our thoughts on whatever we felt like talking about. So if you have any thoughts, those who are listening or watching, let us know. If you have any questions about stuff we've already talked about or stuff you'd like us to talk about, that would be cool. We are closing in on our 100th episode. We'll probably get it in before our theatrical season begins, but we'll figure something out. And if you have an idea for that 100th episode, let us know.
Yeah. We'll be pretty close anyway.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, and so until next time, everybody, take care.
So long.